What's up, everybody? Back for another Honkai Star Rail video. New MOC means, of course, new best teams to use to clear MOC 12, right? Um, I feel like most of the time, most people don't struggle with 10 or 11. Let me know if you are one of those people. So I always just skip right to 12, right? I feel like that is just, it makes sense to do it on the hardest one, right? The other endgame modes don't really have an issue like that because it's just, super easy, like somewhat, like easy, and then the actual like last stage, right? MOC definitely just has like a bunch of stages, and I feel like they don't really rack up the difficulty until 12. But regardless of that, let's go over the buff and the best teams. But before we do that, stuck grinding in Honkai Star Rail? Need those Stellar Jades now? We've got the power up you need. Head to U7 Buy, your ultimate gaming hub for safe, fast, and cheap in-game top-ups. From Star Rail to all your favorite titles, they've got you covered. Plus, you can check out reviews of U7 Buy on Trustpilot, and they have a pretty high rank. Our Honkai Star Rail direct top-up page lets you recharge instantly. Check this out. For example, the 8,800 on Eric Shard price is about $100. That's pretty expensive. You can check the price on U7 Buy, and it's cheaper, plus they deliver in seconds. No more waiting. How do you buy? Select your server and input your UID, pay securely, and boom, your account is loaded instantly. It's that easy. Use code ZB at checkout for an extra 5% discount, perfect for last minute pulls, battle passes, or surprising a fellow trailblazer. Plus, if you spend $80 per month on U7 Buy, you will get a Honkai Star Rail Express Supply Pass via only 1 cent. That's basically free. So, click the link in the description to visit U7 Buy, recharge fast, save more, and keep blazing those trails. Alrighty, so right here, the buff for this one is Breach Nest, right? At the start of each wave, recovers 4 skill points for all allies. When allied targets use skills or consume skill points, adds 1 hit to memory turbulence, second 15 times. At the start of each cycle, each hit of memory turbulence deals true damage once to a random enemy target. I feel like since like the end of time, all of our MOC buffs have been memory turbulence. Am I crazy? Do you guys remember when there was not a memory turbulence? I swear every MOC is do something and then at the start of the next wave you deal damage. Can we make it at the start, like the end of the wave, please? Please and thanks. That would like help you actually save off a cycle. Like this buff, it is very useful. It does do a ton of damage, but like bro, like, help us get an extra cycle off or something, please. Anyway, I do think it's really funny how it's skill based, like skill points based, right? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge on the whole Sparkle getting buffed, skill points being on the aha thing in that one teaser, Sparkle being a new SP in the new update. Like, just it's skill points based, bro. It's skill points based. We know. Anyway, let's go over the teams and the characters. So as always, we have the meta characters. Now the reason we have let's go over slightly Evernight in the like meta supports, right, is because she doesn't really have a place to fight against. You would use her against Cocolia, but Cocolia has ice, physical, and wind resistance. Like straight just resist the type. So I figured I just put her in meta. You're gonna run her as casters anyway. Now, in terms of teams, I'm gonna be honest with you, right? This MOC, you're gonna hear me like clicking through in the background. This is up for 41 days, so this will be out during 4.0. So if you're watching this in 4.0, it's so obvious that these two are just gonna work for this, right? I'm assuming I'm gonna take a shot in the dark and say this: she's gonna be the DPS and she's gonna be the support, just based off the fact that Sparkle is already a support, so it makes sense that the new Sparkle would not be a support as well. Regardless, they're probably gonna work amazing for this, right? It's very clear that they, even though they're elation, we don't technically know what they do. It's skill points based. They're gonna be good, right? Another characters that are gonna be good in this: Phanon and Anoxa, as always, right? Phanon might have a bit of a tough time with the whole like whatchamacallit mechanic with the, do I even call this Sam, like the swarm Sam, I guess, right? But other than that, it should be pretty easy to clear with them as long as you have vested, like Redraw and whatnot. Archer is going to be extremely good against Cocolia. It's like Archer was literally made for this, right? Use skill points, do a bunch of damage, right? That, I'm telling you, do not underestimate that buff. When you have it maxed out, it actually just tears through bosses, right? Don's going to be really good on this one as well for both sides. Saber can work against Sam, but you know, it is Saber. I'm not a huge fan of Saber. I know people are gonna preach like Saber isn't that bad, but I'm not a huge fan of Saber. I think she definitely needs a bit more oomph than most characters are released around her time. So she, you know, can work. Aglaya is going to be just fine against you. The only thing is she's not getting the skill points buff unless you're running her with someone like Sunday, who is just spamming it over and over and over and over, right? Casters, of course, is going to be busted on this side, right? Rappa can work. Same with Boot Hill. The only thing with Boot Hill is Boot Hill will struggle against the Sam fight because you want to have AoEs to break the bugs when he summons them, right? Which Boot Hill obviously single target, right? So if you have like Linksha on the team, right? I guess that'd be helpful. Well, I mean, they're not weak to fire, so you'd have to have constants as well, right? Which is a lot of requirements. Obviously, I assume you'd have like the most optimal or basically optimal team for this, right? But there's a lot of requirements for Boot Hill to like super easy clear this unless you're like super mega just like boom one-shotting, right? And then Rappa, there's like one enemy in here that's actually weak to imaginary, right? Which is a bit annoying. You can run on Fugue and the Constance implant, but the fact that Constance is so like anti-Rappa is just very unfortunate. But a character who's not, you know, anti break team is obviously Fire herself. She's gonna shred through all these, right? They're both weak to fire. I mean, she implants anyway, but like, you know, they're weak to fire, right? Acheron can work on Akolia. Acheron's been out for quite a bit, so I mean, we just gotta start knocking her down, even though she was an absolute powerhouse when she released, right? In terms of other characters, on like Heike, if they were weak to imaginary, and we had like Sparkles, like buff Sparkles full kit, I'd argue that Donheng might be and can work, right? But obviously we can't put him there, right? Other than that, I think that might be it. I'm looking at the characters. Mide would not work out too well. The bugs would be kind of annoying because it's not AoE. Herda's not going to work at all. Fei Zhao, like I said, you really do want AoE on Sam for that. Yinli, bit old. Black Swan hasn't received buffs, but she's on Dot anyway. Oh, I guess since Dot, I should put Kafka up here, right? Because at this point, she's really just support for Dot. Like High Sealance is like the face of the team, right? I think that's it, honestly. Like, this is really just the teams you use, right? You might be thinking, oh my god, he has no teams in the Sam fight. What the hell? Like, what's going on? Just look at the bottom for both, bro. Like, you could put all those characters on the Sam fight and call it a day. Other than that, it really is just, like I said, just don't get frozen by Cocolia, and then AoE when Sam summons the bugs to deal damage and then lower the HP. I think it's called Gene Duplication, if I'm not mistaken. I got an achievement for it, funny enough, when I was fighting him earlier. But that's pretty much what I would recommend. Of course, as always, let me know what you guys are using in the comments below. If you get it clear, say like how many cycles, what we're using, if you had dupes. That way, if somebody is still stuck, they're trying to use these teams, it's not working out for them, they can maybe copy your team and get it clear, right? But at the end of the day, it is only a small amount of jades. Do not stress too much if you're a new player and you cannot clear MOC 12. As long as you get to like 10 or like maybe get to 11, you should be good to go there. Trust me, it's not, I know at the end of the day it does not feel good to not be able to full clear, but you're not missing out on that many jades. If it was like a full-on like, oh, you were missing on like 500, 1,000 jades, I'd be like, okay, maybe it's a bit more serious, but it's not even 100 jades, right? You will be okay. But other than that, thanks for watching. Let me know your teams as always. Also, how hard do you think this MOC was, and what do you think of the buff? Do you think they should change the buff to be different from just doing damage? Do you think it should be buffing your characters, giving ultimates, kind of like Apocalyptic Shadow or Pure Fiction? And of course, I'll catch y'all in the next one. Thanks for watching.